Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author and robot, and today we're doing a book review that is seasonally appropriate. A Christmas Demon for Clara. I know, interesting choice is... I said it to myself when I picked up this book. But before we get started, couple of things. The regulars. Number one, if you'd like to be featured on this channel, check out the links down in the description below. Number one is Lemoy, and number two is Pitch Fit. The final Pitch Fit of the year is coming up later in December, and now you're gonna have the Lemoy for 2022. So if you want to get in on the first Lemoy of the next year, this is the one. And then also, if you enjoy what I do on this channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can get some more coverage for the books and the authors and the creatives featured here. So, all that said, let's get into the quest for the lemon bars and love. I don't know, man. I went into this with some really low expectations, all things considered. That's mostly a comment on the genres that I prefer, as opposed to something called A Christmas Demon for Clara, which is obviously going to be some kind of romance. But let's be fair, the cover is pretty crafty. But the blurb actually made me laugh when it's a demon in search for the greatest lemon bars in the universe. This book came to me through a BookBub email feature and was a free promotion. All things considered, I can say that I was pleasantly surprised at the start. After about 15% of the book, it started losing its charm, and it lost a lot of its humor. I'll say exactly when that happened, too. And then the focus shifted from the lemon bars to this romance of, we can't be together, but I want to be with you, but also I don't. And it was annoying. So, on top of just how innocent the MC was in the weird relationship between the main character and her siblings, it's just the author's humor got lost, and this ain't written to be anything but kind of wish fulfillment sex fantasy where nothing else matters in the end. So, but let's get into the plot itself. Maybe you'd be interested in checking it out yourself. If any part of this interests you, I highly recommend that you go and look at it, enjoy yourself, see the humor for yourself, see the author for yourself, and maybe you'll find a new favorite piece. So getting into the storyline, a demon named Locke is standing over a death ground with his buddy Druxel after work, eating and or devouring some sweets because he loves them. This guy loves to eat. His buddy talks about how he found his mate, and someday Locke will find his too. But in the meantime, check out this flyer for the best lemon bars in existence. Locke, being the ultimate foodie, especially sweet lover, decides that he needs to try these lemon bars, so he goes to New York to find them. Shortly after arriving, he finds the bakery that they come from with ease. Now enters Clara, who owns the bakery with her two sisters, Hazel and Eloise. The three of them are magical witch-like triplets with individual powers of their own. Clara can see ghosts and interacts with ghosts. Not Hazel. Eloise. Eloise can do, like, psychic brain shocks, and Hazel theoretically has a much more subtle power that everybody thinks she doesn't have a power, but she does have a power. And I can't remember if that was actually revealed what her power was in this book, but I'm sure that it comes out in a later book. And all three of the girls have very distinct styles of dressing. Like, Hazel is super gothic style. Clara is, I don't remember what she, like, I think she wears, like, A-line skirts. And I don't remember how Eloise dresses. But they're all very, very distinct in their styles. So anyway, Locke walks into the bakery and demands the lemon bars. Claire claims that she can't make them because they're out of season. Besides, she only tries to make customers happy, and Locke is not a customer, so she doesn't care if he's happy or not. Yeah, then he buys out all of the butter bars that are on display because those are there, and he eats them right in front of her because they're amazing. He pretty much orders two, stuffs them in his face, and then goes, "These are amazing. Give me another one. Here's $20. Give me another one. Here's $20. Until he's bought out the entire case of butter bars and has consumed them all in one standing. But you know what this means? Now he's a customer. Now he demands those freaking lemon bars. Clara says, okay, fine, she'll make those lemon bars someday, but you'll have to call every day to see when it is, and she's not making them for like the next week to week and a half because Christmas is coming up and she has all of this other stuff to do, so she's not making them. Also, side note, turns out that angels have been hunting and attacking Clara because she talks to ghosts and sees ghosts, and they think that she is vengefully holding the ghosts from coming into the afterlife, and so the angels want to destroy Clara. That's not really the case. Clara is friends with all of these ghosts, but that is what the angels think. So, Clara leaves the bakery to prepare for the gala, and Locke just very blatantly follows her from place to place, like actually talking to her. He wasn't invited. They don't know each other. This weirdo just walked in and bought out her bakery and then just followed her on all of her errands. It's okay though, because he's hot, so she doesn't question it at all. While going place to place, she's talking to people, and Locke is growling because he's already jealous of her talking to any man that isn't him. She visits a bookstore for some reason during her errands, and at this point so I noticed this one while I was reading, and then more so while I was writing up this summary, is that this book feels like it's trying to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling or a Beauty and the Beast restyling, inspired by kind of situation. So then her going to this bookstore kind of feels like a Belle stopping at the bookstore at the beginning of Beauty and the Beast. Anyway, because there's really no point to it in the story except to show that Clara is a bookie, and to make Locke jealous because she's talking to some dude at the bookstore. So when they leave, Locke's like, why were you talking to that guy and laughing and smiling and stuff? He's not good enough for you. He's not like me. And then Locke goes and gets fitted for a suit because he needs something nice to wear to the gala. This is the same place, the same tailor that Clara is currently at, getting her dress checked out or purchasing her dress after it's finally finished being tailored. She leaves, and Locke mentions the lemon bars to the tailors, like Clara's lemon bars, and they're like, holy shit, she's got the lemon bars in? Honey, get the wallet. We need to go and buy like a case of those freaking lemon bars. They are so good. You bring up Clara's lemon bars and the town is like, holy frick, bruh. Of course, Locke sets them straight and is like, there are no lemon bars. I just mentioned them because I freaking need them, okay? I understand. I want them too. At the gala, Locke sneaks into the back of the venue because he doesn't have an invitation, but this isn't until after he kills a cherub that was trying to hunt Clara. Once inside, Locke pulls Clara away from her friends, jealous because they're men, and then dances with her. Then he takes her out onto a balcony where they're going to be alone. A seraphim drops down from the sky to attack Clara and make her pay for her blasphemy of talking to ghosts. For a second, Locke considers just leaving Clara there to her demise because he's really not that invested in her, but he's got to have those freaking lemon bars. So he defeats the seraphim. Clara is going to then go home on her own, but notices all of her protective ghosts are missing. Turns out the seraphim killed a lot of them. Locke offers, or collected their souls, whatever it is. They're just not there anymore. Locke offers to go home with her and protect her from the angel attacks, and Clara agrees. Locke is now beyond thirsty, as well as hungry, if you know what I mean. And he, for some reason, helps Claire undress, and while doing so, he's putting the moves on her. Clara wants to stop because there are ghosts watching in the house, and she's nervous, and also a virgin. Doesn't matter. They're interrupted by the seraphim finding them again. Locke creates a portal to hell so that he can take Clara to approximate safety, however safe you can claim hell is. Switch over to Clara's sisters, Hazel and Eloise, fighting off the angel. They win, of course, because why wouldn't they? And then we switch back to Clara and Locke in the hell home. Yes. Clara is like, I can't stay here. I have Christmas pastries to make for the coming holidays. I have a business to run. And Locke is like, you can't go back because the angels will come and attack you until you're gone. So you kind of got to stay here because I need those lemon bars. So he and Clara come to an agreement that as long as Clara is staying there, she can cook her pastries in his house, and then he will use the teleporter to take them back to her bakery where her sisters can sell them. Clara agrees to this mostly because she can't escape hell on her own anyway, and in the middle of all of this, Locke is called to his boss's office because the angels are mad and he wants to know why the angels are mad. Locke explains that the angels are mad because they want the girl that he just brought home to hell, but he can't give up the girl he brought home because he needs the freaking lemon bars that she makes, and also probably some sexy time too. The boss rails at Locke, beating the hell out of him. and telling him that he's not allowed to touch the girl. No snoo-snoo until the angel business is done and over with. You got it? Okay, capiche. Good. Back at Locke's place, Clara is cooking because he's got a fully stocked kitchen with all of the ingredients she could ask for. Also, she starts decorating Locke's home for Christmas with hell plants from the porch outside. Now, over time, Locke's running to baked goods back and forth from hell and earth and getting more horny the longer he is around Clara. He keeps trying to make not-so-subtle moves on her, like, let me check your wounds in the shower, sweet cheeks, but she's like, no, please, stop. I'm a virgin, okay? It's at this point in the book that it really, really started to feel like Beauty and the Beast inspired, because Clara was now captive and just wanted to go home, and Locke was keeping her for her own good. And then there were these little imp servants that Locke mistreated and abused, and Clara gave respect to them and was like trying to protect them from Locke's anger. And yeah, also at this point, we're starting to get like super thirsty. Like if you had a super soaker, it would not be enough water to quench this thirst. So Locke tells Clara to ignore the dishes in the sink, from her cooking, and keep cooking. And keep doing her bakery thing. Clara worries that the dishes in the sink will make Locke angry, and so she asks him if he's going to punish the imps, and then she asks him, are you going to punish me in a sexy way for the dishes? And when I say when I say thirsty, I mean, Locke is walking around with a not disguised stiffy like 24/7, and the narration lets you know this constantly. Also, seg into a brief conversation about Hellfire and Locke's dead sister, to which he feels nothing for, but Clara cries for him because she loves her own sisters, and is just like, why doesn't he care about his sisters? I don't know, because he's a demon, I guess. Things get heated, and Clara thinks about how if she bangs Locke, she can brag about it to her sisters. As things get handsy in the kitchen, Locke's work buddy, Drexel, shows up before anything gets too intimate, if you know what I mean. Embarrassed, Clara goes and hides herself in the bedroom. Eventually, Drexel's girlfriend, Romelin, comes in to see her, and they talk about Clara's human traditions, how Locke's into Clara, and Clara's like, no, I can't give him sexy things he wants because I'm not into any sort of sexy things because I'm a virgin. Really? Because you've been awfully thirsty yourself and turned on a lot, and were just thinking about bragging about your sexual escapades to your sisters. And now you're like, no, senpai, no. It's so fake, my friend. It is. This is one of the ways that the virgin trope really bothers me. Like, I've got my own virginal characters in my stories. Now, they aren't necessarily in smut stories, so their virginity isn't sexualized, but generally going this far into purity where it almost pretends that the character is asexual or caddishly scared of sex, while also being super interested in intimacy, is really bizarre to me. I mean, I've even got an angel character who had, like, sex once, and then he was stripped away from his lover because angels are not supposed to fall in love with humans. And his apprehension and connection with sex was not even this level of innocence. And he's a pretty innocent guy, let me tell you this. He is that angel. he's kind of more like an infatuated teenage boy at this point, even though he's like 500 years old. Okay, because he's fallen in love again. And he's really into the person he's fallen in love with. That's just how them emotions work on angels, okay? Anyway, so when you've got your virginal character who is super afraid of intimacy and is super innocent in every single way, but is also super interested in sex. It's like trying to play both fields of the super interested sex kitten and also so innocent, she's just innocent. Because I know innocence is also like a sexualized thing, like a kink. And this is to the point where it almost feels like Clara doesn't even know what a penis is. I think she does it. I think at points she even just goes, that thing down there. And she is like a 25, 28-year-old woman. So this is all kind of... We also have to mention that this goes so far that Clara has to be educated by her sisters about man-things, aka cock, even though they're literally the same age. There's a difference between personal sexual experience and generally knowing the body parts exist, and when you're a mid to late 20-year-old business owner and you act like a child, it's not sexy, it's infantilizing. But I think we'll come back to that when I get to my notes on the story. Anyway, then again, I guess I'm not really the target audience for this kind of stuff, and the readers of this book really liked what this book was doing, so I personally cannot stand this kind of trope, and it doesn't read organic or real. It reads like a shallow, super hyperbolic fetishization of virginity and innocence. Anyway, getting back to the story, Locke's called back to his boss's office where his boss tells him that he will be punished gravely if he forces himself on Clara. Why would he do this? I don't really know. They're demons, but I guess now they have a morality code, and I don't know why the boss is even invested in Clara to the point where he's like calling him in just to say, hey, you can't have sex with this, and if you force it, I'm gonna punish you. He's never met her. He only knows her through Locke telling him that an angel is after her, and now the demon boss is protective of her too. I don't really know. Seg into Locke now binge eating sweets because he wants to have sex with Clara, but she's busy cooking and he can't seduce her per his boss's orders. At this point, I was left wondering where the sassy, confident guy from the beginning of the book went, because here now he's just a total pushover, but he's just got no confidence whatsoever. So he's not attractive in any sort of way. I'm just trying to use a shorthand way of saying this character lost confidence and became a pushover, and it's really sad and mildly annoying. The charm from the opening of the story was completely gone. Now, Drexel and Remelin come over for dinner. The group spends some time together. Clara is still making baked goods to send back to Earth, and Clara also almost walks into a deadly hell river that almost kills her. Locke learns that Clara has been making extra sweets for him to eat while he's been doing his deliveries because she loves him, or something like that. Locke, for some reason, tells one of Clara's sisters that he's in love with Clara, and that sister is like, you're never gonna get it, and then immediately tells Locke how he can woo Clara and get into her good graces. The never gonna get it wasn't even like, you're doing it all wrong. It was more like Locke saying that he's frustrated waiting for Clara to warm up to him, and he'd pretty much be willing to just stuff his fingers down her underpants and play with her until she's begging him for more, and use that as a way of seducing her and getting her consent. And the sister was like, you wouldn't dare. And then she gives Locke suggestions on how to woo her sister. Are you serious? He just talked about pretty much forcing himself on your sister until she like wants it. And you're like, no, let me tell you a way that you can actually manipulate her into doing what you want instead. Really, Hazel? Is this you? Also, to prove Sister Hazel is psychic, she goes to Sister Eloise and says her intuition tells her that Locke is in love with their sister. You know, it was definitely her intuition that told her about Locke's feelings and not him standing there saying, hey, by the way, I think I'm in love with Clara. Okay, so now the two sisters are squealing over how happy they are that Clara might have actually found someone, because they've always wanted her to have a partner, and maybe they'll have little half-demon babies together, and this convo is just moving Clara and this demon guy along so fast. They're just like, the first guy that Clara shows interest in will definitely be the one. Now, the angel returns to the bakery looking for Clara and is fought off again by the psychic sisters. Locke returns to his home to decorate a Christmas tree for Clara, which is more than enough to seduce her. That, and he says, I'm not interested in the lemon bars anymore.
I'm interested in you.
With a smolder, kind of like this. Are you seduced yet? So then obviously following that, of course, they have sex. And it's written so awkwardly. Like, it reads first like passing a kidney stone, and then Locke goes, this is why we do this, as he's making Clara orgasm, and it sounds just like Locke is talking to a literal child. This is, like, it's so uncomfortable. The level of infantilization in this, you don't even understand. So, following all of that, they wake up, and we've got this weird exchange where Clara wants to go to the bathroom, and Locke is like, no, don't get up. Just lay here, and I'll go get a towel and clean you off. And it's just like, can you be less controlling, please? This isn't cute. This isn't sexy. Also, make this the first of 2 books that I've read in the last 2 weeks where there's just this segment of this woman that's just straightly saying she is squishing around with cum inside of her. This one and Cryptic Passage by C.L. Carhart did it, and I'm just like, I don't need to know this level of your sexual proclivities. Please? Why is this the popular thing right now? Meanwhile, after all of this has happened, we now go to Locke saying, I can't be with you, I'm a demon, and this is how it has to end. After he just spent the last while saying how he was in love with Clara, because clearly we need to force this will they, won't they drama at the end of the book to make sure that they break up at the 75% mark, but get back together at the 90% mark, and have one more sex scene in closing, right? Because in the story, there's literally nothing keeping them apart other than Locke suddenly being like, we can't do this though. I live in hell, you live in earth. There's no way that we could make this work. Like, long distance relationship and the portals that he uses every single day to get to earth don't exist. Really? And so then a team of demons is now assembled to protect Clara because they have to return her to Earth anyway for whatever reason. I don't know why the timeline has suddenly decided now she's going back to Earth. Whatever. They all hang out together, have a Christmas party, so it's a Christmas party with Clara, her sisters, and a bunch of stranger demons. One of Clara's sisters screws a sadomasochistic demon in a closet who basically rapes her because he wants Sister Eloise to use her psychic brain shock abilities on him because he wants to feel the pain, and she won't do it, so he's like, lol, I'll just abuse you until you do it. But then in the end, they just end up having rough sex where they're biting each other the whole time, and I think she is left bruised, and she's like, I'm satisfied with this though. Let's do this again another time. And he's like, you kind of suck in bed. And she's like, and so then that's pretty much their whole dynamic for this book. Everyone then gathers at the table for Christmas dinner. And despite Locke being like, we can't be together, he and Clara are actively flirting and holding hands the entire time. And then they do a gift exchange and they play holiday games. And then Locke says, I love you. And he and Claire walk off to stare at the moon, declare that they will be together after all, and then have noisy sex in Clara's bedroom, while the house is full of guests. She also drinks Locke's blood, which bonds them forever together and allows them to read each other's minds because there are no secrets allowed in any relationship ever. That's healthy. The only healthy relationship is a relationship where you know literally everything about your significant other. Didn't you know that? I gotta point out, this is another similarity I've been seeing in some romances recently. Again, C.L. Carhart's series did this with Augustine sucking on blood and then exchanging memories. Is there a trend going on right now that I should know about? So with that, let me know if you have seen either of those 2 things recently, where it's like the specific mention of just like swashing cum inside of you, or the blood bonding, the drinking of the blood and the drinking memories. I know neither of those 2 are like new things, obviously, but is there a current trend of using them in contemporary books? Let me know if you've seen them in any of your adventures. And anyway, getting back to the story, after all of the sex and party festivities, the angels decide that it is now the time to attack. Very considerate of them to wait until all of the festivities had calmed down and the demons had gotten into position to protect the bakery before they attacked. So the battle ensues. Eventually, during the battle, everyone clears up whatever issue the angels had with Clara, and they go, oh, that was what was going on? Well, consider your crimes waived. We're sorry for bothering you. We are going to peace out. And then they retreat. Locke returns to hell and tells his boss that he wants to be with Clara as long as she is alive, and he is allowed to do it. Locke then returns to the bakery, and they pretty much live happily ever after, even though Locke never gets his freaking lemon bars. I guess you don't need lemon bars to find true happiness then, huh? So to start it off, Like I said at the beginning of this video, I picked this book up on a whim. It came into my inbox in a promotion as a free book. The cover was kind of ridiculous. The description with the lemon bars was more ridiculous. And I thought, okay, what the hey, let's give it a go. I could use something not serious to read, so let's just see what happens. And in the beginning, I actually enjoyed the humor. I was very surprised that I was just enjoying the story as it went on. The lightheartedness, the sassiness that was Locke and his passion for the freaking lemon bars, the obsession with the lemon bars specifically was endearing. And in the early chapter where the Seraphim showed up and he was like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this guy. I hate dealing with Seraphims. I have no reason to care about this human woman, but I want those freaking lemon bars. That was great. I loved that. And I kind of wish that the entire book had just been Locke's obsession with food and Clara actually trying to seduce him and him being so, like, flighty. He didn't realize it because also he just wanted the food. He was a glut guy. A gut guy. I think they called it a glut demon. Whatever. But Locke is a man who loves food, and that cannot be understated. And just look at this quote from the book. The smell of the pears simmering should have settled him. They were a favorite of his, and he was sure that scent was the source of his nagging erection. You got that right. Simmering pears gave him an erection. This man loves food. That's all I could say. Also, there was a part where he cut off a cherub's ear, and the cherub said, "What the hey?" And Locke was like, "Can you just cuss like a freaking adult, you nimwit?" You know, that was fun. Good times. Unfortunately, though, pretty much as soon as Locke got thirsty, the humor of the book dropped off, and we got to one-track mind, apparently. So, conveniences. Clearly, I'm reading a niche holiday romance kind of book. I don't know what to really expect, but every book I ever go into, I at least expect some consistency in motives and story logic and world building. Like, you don't have to fit real world logic and how things work in reality. If you just give me clear, concise lines for how logic things work in this universe, I will play by your New World's rules. But if you don't give me any consistency, then I can't buy into the storyline. There is no point if there is no weight behind the decisions or behind the rules. Show me characters making decisions that make sense with who I am told that they are, and if you don't do that, then there is literally no point in following because there's no weight in who these characters are or the decisions they make, and nothing. Maybe this is my problem. Some of this just goes off with playing a specific fantasy like Beauty and the Beast thing without actually giving it teeth. Clara knows that she's in hell to keep her safe from the angels, but she just kind of randomly talks about wanting to go home while alternating with playing housewife just fine, decorating Locke's place, and dressing cute/flirty. You could so easily tweak this so it's her keeping herself distracted and trying to make the most of the situation, but then also she'd need to actually get into something with Locke, like to give it teeth and tension in a moment. Clara does eventually say, I can't stay here forever and I'd like to go home. If I'm just going to die, I would rather die at home. But more of this tension to show what Clara wants versus what she's putting up with would have actually added to there being tension. Unfortunately, this book reads more like wish fulfillment for the author, and often in wish fulfillment books, there's no real fighting between the main characters because everything is supposed to go pleasantly, and the main characters are always supposed to get what they want. There might be a little bit of friction from somebody here and there saying, please, no, don't do that, but it's usually resolved within a page, and there's never any real consequence to wrong actions taken by the main characters. They might get a finger wagging from somebody, but then like 2 seconds after the finger wagging, the person that they betrayed is usually like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, I don't really care. This happens a lot. Actually, I've been reading it a lot. The other book I've mentioned in this video review has pretty much entirely run on zero consequences. Another area that this shows is in Locke saying that he wants something, but then he does absolutely nothing to get the thing that he wants. His character is more consistently a pushover than a badass, and it feels like that's because the author didn't want to cross into any Dubcon territory. Even though we do get that guy that's banging the chick in the closet, that switches over fast from Dubcon because the sister really just enjoyed the situation that was going on, and so then it more becomes like aggressive relationship as opposed to Dubcon. Also, why was the demon boss so concerned with some random human's purity or a demon raping this human? Like, it that seems to be out of character for demons specifically, who are supposed to be evil. But he was really adamant about not destroying her purity. Which takes me to one of the tropes that I actually hate. So I don't think I hate a lot of tropes, but this one I cannot stand every single time it comes into a book. I mentioned it in the Scarlet Gospels book review, and I mention it a lot. I can't freaking stand it when demons are the good guys and angels are just the bad guys, the baddiest of the bad guys, and this book does that. And then also, it makes the demons a pushover, so, you know, what is the point of them being a demon? They don't act anything like a demon, they don't have a backbone, they don't want to be evil, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to do corruption, they're not pushy, they're not anything. Really? Why even call them a demon, to be honest? But I know I have very strict rules with how angels and demons, I wouldn't even say strict, I just hate when you just role reverse them for whatever reason. It's stupid and I hate it and I can't stand it. If you're gonna do it, fine, but I will tell you, I don't like it, and I will probably not like your story if you role reverse angels and demons. Sorry. The pacing of the book. The first couple of chapters were definitely stronger than the rest of the book, and like I said, it had humor, but about 20% of the way that dropped off, and by 50% of the book lost what charm it had. This might have to do with the beginning of the book having more momentum and focus for the plot. Meanwhile, once they get to hell, it's just sort of a slice of life, hanging out Beauty and the Beast style montage with friends and dinners and dressing up a Christmas tree, which, now that I think about it, wasn't that also in the Beauty and the Beast montage? The beginning of the book has a focus in Locke having a goal and Clara being in danger. You take her out of that and the danger more or less disappears because Clara is safely kept in a house, even if it is in hell, and then you finally get back to her, the house is on Earth, and the angel doesn't even show up until everyone is good and ready and it's staged. Everyone's going through Christmas items like there is no danger, there are no stakes, nobody is in trouble, and it's forgotten until like the last 10% when the story is like, oh, the angel's back, bloody battle, the end. With a verbal dismissal that none of this really mattered the entire time. This piggybacks on motivation. There's no consistency in either Locke or Clara and her sisters, but they're not in this very much, so we just won't talk about them. Clara was never anything special. She's more of a blank slate that I think the reader is supposed to self-insert, but she's also got zero charm. She's just sort of annoying as she stands there being fingered, then 2 seconds later she's screaming, "Don't touch me ever again," because she's embarrassed by Locke's friends coming over who saw her wanting to be intimate, like, specifically that it's a sin for her to want intimacy, and she has to hide herself if anyone sees that she might want a romantic partner because it's kind of outing her as, I don't know, not wanting to have any kind of intimacy. She's a weak person, and in turn, she makes Locke look weak because he's overly considerate of her in a way that is very obviously a woman fantasy. Servitude, female worship, and a woman writing a man that isn't really a man but a passive slave that thinks of nothing but satisfying the woman as a queen and has no personality of his own. Which legitimately, the second he stops caring about the lemon bars and caring more about Clara, he loses all of his humor and all of his personality to just be her servant fantasy arm. And we bounce back and forth between I want you and I don't want you, you're what I need, no, we can't be together, for no reason other than for making these two not get together. Still immediately holding hands right after they say we can't be together. It was nothing but a forced plot point for a paint-by-numbers romance plot, and is that insulting if I say that I want a little more than that? I don't really care if you do write a paint-by-number, but make the character choices make sense, not just some forced separation that they acknowledge and ignore anyway because it must be inserted for arbitrary reasons. I did want to bring up Clara's level of Mary Sue-ness because, quote, "She's been making extra for me." Obviously she has. She's not an idiot, you know. She never seems all that bright because she puts herself out there so much, and you think, no smart person can be this wholesome and innocent and willing to be walked all over, but that's really just how she is. kind of a math genius too, but she only uses that to run register when she's bored and looking for a challenge. Yes, please give me more heroines who are good at literally everything they do, even the first time they touch it, without ever even trying, and have the skills and speak 10 different languages at the age of 20 and play the organ and miss all of school but finishes magna cum laude, because why not? Perfection. And the queen. You know, maybe it's just me, but the more skills or abilities someone has does not make them more likable. The more perfect a character is, it does not make them more likable. Clearly, a lot of people do like this, though, because, again, this book is very well received by its target readership, so no shade, but just perfect main characters are not my thing at all, and it is actively irritating for me. But if you're into wish fulfillment, then this probably is going to tickle your pickle, because who doesn't want to be perfect at everything when they're reading wish fulfillment fiction? In the area of stakes, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. There are none. Clearly, this is a romance, so the big thing is Locke and Clara. The angels attacking her are just a way to force Locke and Clara into confinement together, but I don't know how I'm even supposed to worry or care about Clara with the angels when the two human sisters, Hazel and Eloise, themselves can beat up the Seraphim and chase him off with no supernatural powers themselves. They, like, beat him with a frying pan. So why are we running from the Seraphim? Why do we care? We don't. Then the stakes are just will they or won't they? Obviously they will, when the whole point of the story is people getting together, but they do so in captivity, with Clara being kidnapped to hell. It's a little harder to see anything romantic about the situation, unless you very specifically recognize when something is held in captivity. It's kind of like Joel and Mystic Passage falling for Swanee. Nothing romantic is there, it's just kind of cruel, though even with Locke being an actual demon, he's less cruel than Swanee. I'm just gonna say. Along with trends that I've seen in recent books that I've read, there is a lot of really weird sexual relationships happening between friends and family members, and I'm not sure if I'm living in a Twilight Zone or what, but this is not the first book that there have just been weird sexual conversations and relationships between family members. Again, in the story we have siblings who are the same age who find it their job to inform and educate their sister of all things sex related. Maybe I'm the weird one here. I'm pretty far in a non-sexual direction myself. But there is an awful lot of casual incest and casual sexual encounters shared between family members going on in fiction. So maybe I just don't get it, but y'all can tell me in the comments. This book took it to another level by virtue of how innocent the main character was. It was infantilizing. The woman runs her own business and is in her 20s, and we've got a demon being like,
Sweetie, do you know what happens when a man really, really, really likes a woman? Do you know what happens? Do you know what sex is?
and then to make it more bizarre, with the sisters being the ones to inform Clara of sexual practices in general, this is just so patronizing with an unbelievable level of making Clara into a child. It's not cute. Also, this quote, "There was a purity to Clara that had to be protected, a purity they were trusting to the hands of a demon that Hazel really did think would complete her." So siblings really be over here talking about how they're protecting their same age siblings' virginity this naturally? Really? But hey, I'm not the target audience for this, and I'm just surprised by the levels this goes. Y'all can let me know in the comments if you're like, yeah, this is nothing, you're just the freak over here, because, you know, I'll take that too. Another quote, for example, is, "Clara swallowed hard. He won't. You know." The crimson burning her cheeks said it far better than Clara would, so Hazel didn't push her for big girl words. Big girl words. They're the same age. So, like, there are many ways in which this is written that it makes it read like a child when they're talking about sex, and it's just very weird and uncomfortable. Also, the moral of this story turns out you can be an absolute timid, stuttering virgin girl, but after the first time that you have sex, you're pretty much a sex kitten, no longer terrified of the D. Take that. The ultimate conflict in this book is lack of communication. When the main conflict consists of characters refusing to talk to each other, then all of the drama surrounding them is shallow and annoying because there's legitimately no reason for the drama to exist. I want it, but I'm not allowed to want it, paired with I just refuse to talk to anybody about this issue whatsoever, drives me crazy. So much of the storyline actually feels like a projection of the desire to be wanted, as Locke walks around throughout the book with a boner that he can't do anything about, and really, really wanting to railroad Clara, but can't. It's this feeling of desire in the narration, but the author is afraid to commit, so instead you just have this need, then this fake conflict stopping them from going anywhere. And then the angel business at the end feels like it was a forgotten thread that comes back at the end with an oh shit, can't forget about that one, just to do a quick tie-up. But my biggest pet peeve of all with this entire story is that Locke never got his freaking lemon bars. What kind of happy ending is this where the demon who set out to get lemon bars doesn't get his freaking lemon bars? I wish the book had stuck with the quest for the demon with the lemon bars and the romance was a side thing that happened as well. It could have been just as charming, and Locke could have kept his backbone and his sass and his personality. But with the way that this turned out, everyone was weak. Everyone. And I gotta say, Locke was willing to kidnap Clara, but couldn't be bothered to ask her or push her for lemon bars while he had her captive in hell? Really? What a wasted effort, Locke. Seriously. Well, that's my review of this book. If you would like to check it out for yourself, it is listed down in the description below, and there are 4 other books in this holiday collection, so you could get one for a lot of the holidays and enjoy yourself. All that said, thank you so much for watching. Have a good Monday, and don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out? The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross. Is he in trouble? We don't know who did it, but as the owner of a car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him. Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall. You walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?